When we think of incredible flowers, we usually picture these lush, tropical places, right? But some of the planet's most amazing plants thrive in a world of fire and stone. They literally wait for flames to sweep over them before they show their faces. Today, we're heading to South Africa to find these hidden wonders.
I mean, just look at this thing. It's called Brachystelma circinatum, and its petals form this cage that's so delicate it looks like a single touch could just shatter it. And yet, this plant calls a landscape of extreme heat and raging fire its home. So how on earth is that possible?
Well, that's the big question we're going to dig into. So our journey takes us to a place called the Suikerbosrand in South Africa. And this place, it's more than just a backdrop. It's really the force that shaped these plants, that pushed them to come up with these unbelievable ways to survive.
We're about 45 kilometers south of Johannesburg. And this whole area, the Suikerbosrand, is this huge expanse of rocky hills and grasslands. Its name actually means sugar bush, which came from the beautiful Proteacaphra flower and its sweet nectar. But don't let that sweet name fool you. This place has a seriously tough side.
To make it here, a plant has to run a gauntlet of challenges. We're talking massive grass fires that sweep through every single year. The winters are brutally cold and dry. There are frequent droughts. And oh yeah, the soil itself is thin, rocky, and super acidic. So to survive here, you don't just have to be tough, you have to be a genius.
And this is where the story gets really good. The plants we're looking at, a group known as asclepiads, they didn't just figure out how to survive here. They figured out how to thrive. Some of them even turned the biggest threat of all, fire, into their greatest ally.
When you get right down to it, their survival playbook has two main strategies. It's pretty simple, really. You either avoid the fire or you endure the fire. Some plants, the evergreens, are like rock climbers. They find safety on rocky ledges where the flames just can't get to them. But the others, the deciduous ones, they go the opposite route. They retreat underground, hiding out as bulbs, and then they literally rise from the ashes. So first up, let's meet the avoiders.
So these are the fire evaders. They're evergreen plants that have found sanctuary tucked away in the rocks. It's like they found a loophole in the system, a way to sidestep that whole deadly cycle of fire altogether.
And this one is often the star of the show, Stapelia leendertziae. Just look at those amazing deep purple bell-shaped flowers. But notice where it's growing. Not out in the open, but wedged right in between the rocks. By forming these huge cushions on ledges, it keeps itself safely above the chaos when the fires roll through.
And what's really cool is that this plant's connection to the Suikerbosrand is incredibly deep. This is what's called its type locality, which means this is the exact spot on planet Earth where it was first discovered and described for science, way back in 1909. It doesn't just live here, it belongs here.
But, not all the rock dwellers are quite so flashy. This little guy is Hernia lucernariana. It grows in this dense, tight little clump, and its flowers, they're tiny and super intricate, but you'd be lucky to even see them. It usually keeps them tucked away under its stems, like it's got another layer of protection from the elements.
Okay, so we've seen the plants hiding in the rocks. Now let's head out into the open grasslands. This is where things get really wild, because here the plants don't avoid the fire, they embrace it. This is where the real magic of this place happens.
You see, for these plants, fire isn't the enemy. It's more like a starting gun. As deciduous plants, they completely die back in the winter, just retreating into these little underground tubers. Then, when the fire comes through, it clears away all the old, dead grass. That heat from the fire is actually the trigger, the signal that tells them, okay, it's time to wake up, and they sprout from the ashes to put on this incredible show.
And here is a perfect example. This is Brachystelma fotidum. Look at those striking, star-shaped brownish flowers. What's absolutely nuts is that just a few weeks before this picture was taken, this exact spot was probably nothing but black, scorched earth. It's an unbelievable rebirth.
Here's another common grassland resident, Pachycarpus shinzianus. So after it's done with these beautiful clusters of flowers, it creates this equally amazing seed pod. And when it's ready, it bursts open, releasing hundreds of seeds, each one with its own little silky parachute, just waiting to catch the wind and find a new home.
Now, among all of these incredible survival stories, there's one that really stands out. It's less of a biology story and more of a botanical detective story about a plant that was found, then lost to science for more than 100 years, and then, against all odds, found again.
This timeline just tells a wild story.
In 1893, this plant, Stenostelma umbelluliferum, was officially described, and then, poof, it was gone. For over 100 years, nobody saw it. Most people just figured it had gone extinct. Then, in 2003, it was rediscovered, completely stunning everyone.
108 years. Just let that sink in for a second. For over a century, this tiny flower just kept on going, completely unseen, like a ghost in the grasslands, just waiting for someone to notice it again.
The author of the article that inspired this explainer, Georg Fritz, was actually one of the few lucky people to see it after it was rediscovered. He just wrote, "I had the luck to find a flowering plant in December 2015 and had the opportunity to take the photo." You can just feel the sense of awe in those words.
And here it is. This is the long-lost treasure. Look how tiny it is. It's barely a few centimeters tall. Now you can see how it could be so easily overlooked for so long. These little brownish flowers are so unassuming. No wonder it hid for a century. It's now on the red list of threatened species. A precious little reminder of just how much there is to lose.
So after seeing all this amazing resilience and this strange beauty, what's the big takeaway? Well, the Suikerbosrand and its fire flowers have one last and maybe most important lesson for all of us.
It's a totally natural question, right? You see something this unique and beautiful, and the first impulse is to want to have it, to protect it in your own garden. But with these particular plants, that's pretty much the worst thing you could possibly do.
The reality is, these plants aren't just living in this landscape. In a way, they are the landscape. Their entire existence is perfectly tuned to the acidic soil, the cold winters, and those yearly fires. If you take them out of that environment, you're taking away the very things that make them what they are. You just can't separate their story from their home.
And that really leads us to this powerful final thought. Maybe the best way to protect these amazing species is to just leave them alone, to appreciate their beauty not as something you can collect, but as a living, breathing part of a wild, resilient, and totally irreplaceable ecosystem. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are still out there just waiting in the quiet corners of the world to be found again?